Last week, we found out that Disney Star Wars was ready to do another movie just a couple years ago. Back in 2021, they had an idea to do another Star Wars movie set after The Rise of Skywalker, which had just failed in the theaters after they had decimated their fan base. There was another plan, and it was to bring Ben Solo back to life. You know, Ben Solo, the dude who sacrificed his life to save Rey, the dude who literally we saw disappear on screen. Well, no, actually, guys, he's going to come back to life. Adam Driver had this plan. He wanted to come back, and Lucasfilm, they were all good with it. They wanted it to happen because, of course, why wouldn't they greenlight something like that? Why wouldn't they greenlight something that had just fucking failed in the theaters? Why wouldn't they greenlight something that nobody had any interest in? Why wouldn't they greenlight something that made absolutely no sense because we just witnessed this person fucking die? Because they bring back their dead characters all the time to the point where death means nothing in Star Wars anymore. Why wouldn't Lucasfilm greenlight it? And it turns out they did greenlight it, but you know who didn't? The Disney executives and Bob Iger. Bob Iger reportedly killed the hunt for Ben Solo Star Wars film with Adam Driver, despite Lucasfilm's support. Now, over the past several days, since information got out, everybody's been talking about it. It's been going semi-viral and stuff like that. And Disney Star Wars fans are up in arms that they never got this. They're up in arms that they didn't get more slop. They're up in arms that they didn't get a bullshit story that absolutely makes no sense. And Adam Driver is the one that spilled the beans on this and said, hey, we had this thing going. We thought it was really good. It was set post Rise of Skywalker, and it would have had me coming back and stuff like this. Steven Soderbergh, who is set to direct it, who has made some good shit, by the way. Steven Soderbergh said he did not enjoy hiding the existence of his unmade Star Wars movie, The Hunt for Ben Solo, from fans. For the record, I did not enjoy lying about the existence of The Hunt for Ben Solo, but it really did need to remain a secret until now. He also revealed that after it got shot down by Disney execs, he asked Kathy Kennedy if Lucasfilm had ever turned in a finished movie script for green light to Disney and had it rejected. She said, no, this was a first. Right. And as we've seen things come out and more information's come out, it's like, yeah, maybe there was some political angle. Maybe they were worried it wouldn't resonate with fans. Yeah, no shit, they were fucking worried. No shit, they were worried it wouldn't resonate with fans. Let's understand the fucking situation here for a second. They just got off a failed sequel trilogy. The Rise of Skywalker was a failure. It lost likely somewhere in the range of $150 to $200 million for Disney. That's how much that lost. That's what you ended with. And also, you killed this fucking character. You killed Ben Solo. He sacrificed himself to save Rey. Now, I know for a lot of people at Lucasfilm, for a bunch of the freaks and fucks and idiots and losers and piles of garbage who currently reside in Lucasfilm, they don't care. Death means nothing. Sure, we'll invent time travel to make sure Ahsoka can get saved. Sure, this person got stabbed in the heart with a lightsaber, but they're perfectly fine. Sure, this person died. We'll just bring them back. Who cares? It was shock, right? It was funny when they died. We just brought them back with a mechanical belly in Book of Boba Fett. This is what we see constantly. They have no regard for this shit. There are no consequences for death in Star Wars anymore, right? Of course they would fucking be happy to greenlight this. And Disney, who just saw these losses, who just saw the rejection of Star Wars, the exec said, no, maybe this isn't the best thing to do right now. I don't think that's a wild, crazy thing. In fact, I think it makes a little bit of sense why you wouldn't want to go ahead with something like that, coming off a failure that was the sequel trilogy. But Star Wars fans are trying to save it. Star Wars fans fly Save the Hunt for Ben Solo banner over Disney Studios after Adam Driver reveals project was killed by Bob Iger. And this just happened today, by the way. Star Wars fans launched billboard campaign to save the hunt for Ben Solo. No one's ever really gone. Now, places like Screen Rant are saying that the Star Wars fandom is unified about this. Following Adam Driver's reveal, Star Wars fandom has united in a way that's rare to see. And then says, hey, we saw Deadpool released because of this. Could the hunt for Ben Solo be saved? Do you know who are the people that are doing this? And listen, if you want something, I said the same thing for the people that were trying to save the Acolyte. They put up their billboard. I was part of a billboard project when Star Wars decided to axe the expanded universe. That didn't work. Got attention, got things like that, but it didn't work in asking for what we wanted. And now I'm grateful it didn't, because all the people at Disney would have just fucked up those stories just like they've continued to do. However, if you really are passionate, you really want something, and you want to like buy a billboard and get the message out, go for it. Even if I think it's a retarded fucking idea. The people who are doing this, the people who are united behind this, it's just the people that are the same people that were bitching about the Acolyte. It's the same people that were unified and getting the Acolyte back. And that was a small fraction of the fucking fandom. A tiny fraction of the fandom. Nevertheless, there are some people out there who it doesn't matter what the fucking story is. It doesn't matter if it makes no sense. It doesn't matter if it devalues the sequel trilogy that you say you like. None of that fucking matters to them. They just want to see a fucking jangling key and a flashing lightsaber because they're so fucking dumb and stupid and retarded. That's all that they understand. That's how some people are when it comes to this stuff. And it's clear how stupid some people are, to be honest with you, period. Because now, in the aftermath of this, one of the bright points that has come out of this Ben Solo, the Hunt for Ben Solo story idea, one of my favorite things are the people that are coming out, the scoopers, the people who want you to subscribe to their Patreon for their exclusive scoops, who put out Star Wars scoops, who have Star Wars insiders, who say they know what's happening, who tell you about the ins and outs of what's going on at these companies. Daniel Rickman, one of those guys, I talk about him a lot whenever his scoops come up because, quite frankly, I think he's full of shit. I have a question for all you scoopers out there. All you scoopers who maybe you're now saying you're giving us the internal things, the internal politicking of Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger and all the things Kathleen Kennedy was trying to do, but Bob Iger shot them down and we should apologize to Kathleen Kennedy. For any fucking people with sources and scoopers and shit like this. This is not just to target this guy, not just to target this guy, not just to target your favorite YouTuber, whoever it might be. This is in general. I am making a blanket statement about people that push their sources and stuff. Here's my question. We had a movie, The Hunt for Ben Solo, which was greenlit, which had a fucking script ready to go, which was ready to go in production, and Bob Iger turned it down. That's how far this thing got along. That's how far this thing was developed, completely approved by Lucasfilm. How the fuck did these scoopers not hear about that? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that these sources never told those scoopers anything about The Hunt for Ben Solo? Isn't that strange that we never got Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver doing a fucking movie? Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird? But now the scoopers are all there and they're like, whoa, this is what happened behind the scenes for that shit. Really? Why didn't you know about this movie? And that's why I have to call that stuff out. I have to call it what I see it sometimes because I think so many people blindly believe that shit. That's one of the funnier things that's come out from this entire situation. Look, this is my take. You might be one of the people out there that truly love the sequel trilogy. I don't think you're in the majority. I think you're in the minority, but you might be one of those people out there that truly did love the sequel trilogy. You might love the character of Ben Solo. I think he's a dog shit character, just like all the characters in the sequel trilogy that had no idea what they wanted to do with them. They didn't actually fucking have arcs. You think Ben Solo had a fucking arc? You mean when they went on one side in Force Awakens and then completely flipped things around in Last Jedi and then completely flipped things around again in Rise of Skywalker? I don't think that Kylo Ren or Ben Solo had a good story. I think Adam Driver's a great actor and he gave a really solid performance with what he had. I don't think he's a very good character. But for you, for the Disney Star Wars fan that did love that shit, you loved this character. You loved fucking Rise of Skywalker. You loved seeing Adam Driver. You loved seeing Kylo Ren. Here's my question to you. He fucking died, right? He sacrificed himself for Rey. And we actually saw him disappear. It's not like there's no body or it can be in question. We saw him disappear and become one with the Force. We saw that shit happen. So if you like that, if you are one of those fucking people, and I don't know why you would, but if you do truly care about that fucking character, why would you just be begging for them to come out with more fucking slop, immediately reverse that decision, destroy that sacrifice that he made, and make it utterly fucking meaningless? Why would you like that? If you like this character truly, why would you be begging for that? Why would you be somebody that goes out there and asks for them to just put out more slop after more slop after more slop? Truly, what is fucking wrong with you? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't comprehend that. Yet there are some Star Wars fans out there that are rallying around this. The idea that it's a unification of Star Wars fans, it's just the same people that tried to save the Acolyte. That's all it is. That's who it is. That's the audience that we're talking about, which is minuscule. We're talking minuscule. We're talking about micro dick level minuscule. Okay? That's the impact and like how much these people matter in the grand scheme of things. Star Wars fan base being unified about this. Most people rolled their fucking eyes. But there's so many different angles to this. People really trying to push the idea that we desperately need to have this thing come back. I don't think that. In fact, I think you should let your characters stay dead. Because when you continue to destroy death, what the fuck are the stakes? What the fuck is the point? And that's where we're at now when it comes to Disney. And I don't think it's a bad decision to not make a movie when something like this doesn't make sense to you. Now, for the people that are trying to pass all the blame on Bob Iger and say Kathleen Kennedy's owed an apology, shut the fuck up. Okay? Shut the fuck up. There is no, and I have been consistent about this since I started my channel. There is no one person who is to blame for the failure of Star Wars. It's not just Kathleen Kennedy. And I was saying this back when all these people were trying to push this bullshit Lucasfilm Civil War that John and Dave were trying to dethrone Kathleen Kennedy, when all that stuff was going on. I said it back then. They're part of the problem. John and Dave were part of the problem. All the creatives at Lucasfilm are part of the fucking problem. They are part of the reason that Star Wars has been destroyed. Bob Iger is also responsible for this. Bob Iger's the one who let these things happen. Bob Iger's the one who agreed to have this person in that position. Bob Iger is the head of the fucking company that owns Star Wars. So yes, Bob Iger absolutely responsible for the destruction of Star Wars. But to pretend like because Bob Iger vetoed this thing in the immediate aftermath of the failure that was the sequel trilogy, which would have brought back a character in that failed sequel trilogy, brought him back to life for an audience that quite frankly doesn't exist, for you to do that and then pretend as if, oh, he's to blame. Kathleen Kennedy's trying to do great things for Star Wars fans. That bitch is part of the problem. Bob Iger's a bitch that is part of the problem. Dave Filoni's a bitch that is part of the problem. All of them are culpable. All of them are responsible. All of them are part of the reason that Star Wars has been bent over and fucked to death. They all deserve blame for that. So if you think that it's just one person, if you're pushing, I don't get that. I don't understand that because it's just quite frankly not true. It has taken a lot of failures across the board to turn Star Wars from what it was into what it now is. It is now Disney Star Wars. And everyone knows that when you say that, it's a fucking insult because it's completely and totally different than true Star Wars.